arresting leakage, that means when there's a repair, I would like to run through certain pointers which are very important for new construction. And it is very important to know how to waterproof. As I was saying, waterproofing is not applying the waterproofing. It is about how you construct your structure. See, why is it important to consider so many factors before designing the waterproofing systems? Because no two buildings are alike when it comes to their function, their serviceability, for what they have been built, the purpose for which the building has been built, where it is, and its environmental conditions. You cannot have, for example, recently we did a waterproofing and insulation of a complete building in Srinagar, not Srinagar, even beyond that, where those people were killed recently. Now, that was a hospital, All India Institute of Medical Sciences. So the waterproofing and the insulation, the considerations for that were totally different to that of a building in Mumbai or Hyderabad, or if it is in Chennai. It depends upon the environment. So let's go simple, step by step. So is it a large residential complex, or is it an individual home or a building like a villa or a bungalow or your own house, little house in Hyderabad? Is it an airport terminal? Where is the airport terminal? The hospitals, mall or multiplex? What is it? Is it a commercial establishment? I mean, office buildings, or an educational institution like Anurag University? Or, is it an IT park or a data center? Just to come to the IT park and data centers, Infosys Pune, the complete work was done by me. I drafted the specification. We worked on the specifications. The Infosys on the old Madras Road in Chennai, in a place called Sholinganallur, the total specs were different. And they were insisting that they be different. So I said, I'm not going to repeat the spec done in Pune. Because in Pune, buildings stay for a long time. In Chennai, it is exposed to salt weather, sea, marine environment, etc. So that is a fundamental factor. Okay. There are also other things like soil. I have also done the waterproofing specifications for the new Parliament House. I insisted that I want to know the analysis of the soil and water before I even start the working on the specification, when it was on a drawing board stage. So why is it important to consider these so many factors before designing the systems? Now again, I'll come to a few more pointers. Is it in thickly urban areas? Is it on a beach or river bank? Industrial area where effluent of gases, industrial release, corrosive air. For example, we have a very typical case, like there are two towns, industrial towns in Gujarat called Vapi and Ankleshwar, Bharuch. They're all full of chemical industries. I cannot have the same specification that is for a beach resort. It has to be different, because I have to build the durability when you're doing it. So is it totally dry soil? Is it a wet soil? It is a dangerous soil. A lot of natural elements like sulfates. Or is it the soil polluted with environment of industrial release, or sewers, just seeking into the ground? All these are extremely important. Even if it is a new building, you'll have to check whether what is the plan of that city. If it's 20 years later, you'll have some development coming in. So it's a very important thing. So it's a very responsible work. Specifications and executing waterproofing jobs, because the structure is going to deteriorate. So is waterproofing only the application of waterproofing system? The answer is no. It is about protecting the environment and the structure against the environment. It is now and it could be in future. So sometimes extreme temperatures affect it very badly. Delhi, you'll see a lot of structures. In a place like Dwarka, which is very near the airport, horrible groundwater and extreme temperatures. You will see that in 5 years you have got cracked structures, you have got many other things. Now urban landscape is becoming increasingly dense and complex. Even in a thick city, now buildings are going deeper. Because land is less, the building basement has to go deeper because the building is going taller. So the taller the building gets and you have no area for parking. In westernized societies, they already plan for public parking. So even if you have a house and a complex, in condominiums and flats, they have a parking space outside permanently. There is a parking structure where you go and park, you get out of your house, go and get your car from that parking slot which you pay for, and whenever you want to load some luggage into it, get the car to your apartment downstairs, you load your stuff and go to the airport or wherever you want to. So that kind of a culture we don't have. We want the car in our house. So if you want it in our house, the basements will go deeper as the structures will grow taller. Are you able to get me? The seriousness of the situation. So, and therefore, waterproofing is not a single formula. Now, when it comes to location, whether it is above grade or below grade. Above grade means above the soil or below the soil. So, durability and level of redundancy, how long the system needs to last and how critical the waterproofing is. If it is completely submerged in water, then obviously you have to protect it. I know from my own, my chairman's house is in a place called Alibag, which is a holiday destination near Bombay. He is the owner of Pidilite Industries. And I was the head of Dr. Fixit. So he told me, I want to, Padmakar, I want, to do waterproofing. I said, sir, you're on the beach. You're right on the beach. Beach is 30 meters away from your house. So water is going to come in. So you have to live with water. So probably an engineering solution is better for your structure. Apart from waterproofing, we will do the necessary waterproofing treatment. But the water, when high tide, low tide, it comes in through the sand and comes into the plot of land where the bungalow is. It's a large bungalow. It's a huge bungalow. I mean, it costs 200 crore to make that bungalow. So for a bungalow like that, or a property or a beach, probably you should be having an engineering moat, water that comes into a drain and then goes out into the sewer, so that the direct attack of water on the structure is mitigated to a very, very large extent. And then you waterproof, you build durability into concrete. So flexibility and movement. Now, one of the flexibilities and movements is that, suppose it's a structure, it is subjected to sway. You're all civil engineering students, you'll agree that a skyscraper is subjected to winds. And, the building also turns because of torsion. So there are many, factors to which a building can be subjected. Now, we'll come to these products later, maybe. See, why is it important to consider this? So now crores of rupees are invested. One cannot afford to be careless. Substandard materials that don't fit into functional requirements. Now, when I say substandard, it need not be expensive. It really need not be expensive. It has to be the right solution at the right time. So in waterproofing, no single product will work. It is a combination of quality of concrete, handling the concrete joints, applying protective coatings, about detailing on windows, and chajjas, detailing, and then, the building detailing, where the terminations are there between glass and wood, glass and concrete, glass and steel. All those terminations have to be treated with the right material so that there is no entry of water. Now, when there is lack of space, a lot of actual things happen. Now, in an urban landscape, you have in Hyderabad, for example, an old property that is being pulled down because of redevelopment. There is already a new property existing next door. Now, by cutting that land, going deep and, having a new complex, you cannot actually, cause harm to the existing building which is next door. So there is a whole lot of engineering, design, tackling of shore piles, a tackling of the water, subground water, etc. that is involved. It's not just about just doing the building in an isolated fashion. You have to take into consideration all the buildings around that building which is coming up. Say, for example, in a place like Hyderabad. So, which is the most thickly populated place in Hyderabad? Old Hyderabad. So there you are developing a property, and there are, for example, you have a museum. It's a heritage structure. You can't afford to hurt that structure. You have to have a, if you want a property to be developed next to it or the adjacent land, you have to take care of the surroundings also. So there's an engineering complexity involved in the waterproofing. It's not just the waterproofing product. I mean, because you're a young and students, this should be hard, going into your mind. So when you make an informed decision on how to select materials for both the interiors and exteriors of a building, because it's not about only the building from the outside, it is also inside. There's a functionality. Now let me talk about interior. See, a building is like, if I compare it to a human being's body, water is being drunk by you. But is it causing problems? Is it expanding your body system? No. You're drinking water, it gets absorbed. How much has to be retained by your body is retained, and the rest is thrown out through systems such as your urine, etc. The waterproofing systems have to be designed for all these areas, the below ground, bathrooms, roofs, slabs, expansion joints and cold joints, balconies, roofs. By the way, terrace is not a roof. A terrace is a large area out in the open. It could be in the center of the building also. A roof is a roof. Roof is chat, top. That could be a terrace because it is usable. If it's not usable, it's not called a terrace. A terrace is a usable area which is jetting out open into the atmosphere, which has got a functionality to perform on a daily basis. If you have gone to Amazon building, there's a large balcony where a lot of inmates go out and do their work there. Their computer and Wi-Fi is available outside. It's got a garden, etc. So that it depends upon what is the functionality of your roof, what is the functionality of your, what is going on it. Is it hardscape or just tiling, or is it green grass, or it's tall buildings, as I think you have said it in the morning. So vegetation. So what is the kind of vegetation? Do you know that to sustain vegetation, so grass and small bushes are called extensive vegetation, whereas the tall trees are called intensive vegetation. Why? Because the soil required is 2 to 2.5 times. For grass, 3 to 350 mm of soil is enough. Whereas for intensive vegetation, the soil will go up to 600 feet to 800 mm. And that is the work of a landscaping architect. The landscaping architect has nothing to do with waterproofing. It is the job of the specification engineer and the architect and the engineer combined to draw a watertight specification. More so if there is insulation along with it. For example, in large podiums of public spaces, you have a garden, and below that you have conference halls. Above is all room space for guests. Downstairs below the podium, there are conference halls. And the hotel might decide that, I want a swimming pool. I was staying in Australia for a conference. The swimming pool is in the middle of the hotel, Holiday Inn, middle, center. Below that was a spa. And above that there are living rooms, kitchens and restaurants. And below living rooms, podiums, offices, business centers. So you have to understand, you cannot apply one mantra for everything. Now let me come to these two principles. Please put it in hard. You can Google it. 90 by 10 principle. 90% of all water intrusions problems occur within 10% of the total building of the structure exterior. Okay? Which are from the transitions and terminations. So the detailing is extremely important. The 99% principle. The 99% principle is 99% of the waterproofing leaks are attributable to causes other than material or system failures. So these are the kind of detailings. You're all civil engineers, you understand. It's a simple drawing for a detailing, where all you need to do the detailing. Now there are something called as engineer's checks. Since I can leave this with the university, it can be circulated amongst all of you. There are some engineer's checks that you need to follow. I have spoken largely about this. So these are situations where you could have your properties, and so there are different parts of a building. There could be swimming pools. Each portion of this building in these pictures you have seen need a different waterproofing treatment. Yeah. For example, look at this kind of a picture. Different treatment. So integrated solutions for waterproofing is required. There are different kinds of materials, and each material has to be, there is a selection process. Okay, and they have standards to adhere. British Standards 8102 has been governing the standards for waterproofing all along. Now it's also IS 16471. Initially, when it started, I was a part of this at Delhi, in the Bureau of Indian Standards. Then the pile foundations, they require different. They require different specifications, car decks. So these are the different kinds of pictures. Materials engineering is not taught. So one of our efforts with me and Srinivas is to actually bring in this into the academic arena, so that people are better equipped when they go out. And that's how a civil engineer can continuously be wanted as much as an IT engineer is, when he's equipped with all this. So there are different kinds of things. I can go on and on, but now there are things like, tackling rising damp. You have to diagnose the problem, because there are a lot of other speakers speaking on arresting of leakage. I don't want to go into the detail, but I leave this presentation with the university, so you can have an access to some information. There are different ways of arresting leakage. The most modern, I should not leave the dais without talking to you. Modern detection of leakages in buildings is that, abroad it's become normal now in the last 10 years. They have a drone which is fixed with a camera. The camera will go around the building, as you can see. You can see here on this, there's a drone here on the exterior side of the building, and then it will go over the roof. It will traverse on the roof and then capture images. You can see the images, the red spots. That's about heat or water, presence of water. Okay, and such images. So these are different methods to arrest leakages. Images are captured like this, where the water stagnation is coming in or is getting into the roof, and then after corrosion is detected in a building, there are ways of mitigating the corrosion, because re-corroding also causes leakage again, because concrete will fall, and again there is entry of water available because of the expanding reinforcement within concrete. So there are checks to do. So if you are installing, after leakage, if you install an incipient anode, it can stop leakage up to 30 years, which is arising out of corrosion. So we must aim to establish and nurture a long-term, durable, sustainable structure. The partnership, it must be grounded in excellence. Again, I'm repeating, excellence doesn't mean expensive. It has to be the right product at the right place for the right condition and service. So remember, man cannot afford to rebuild. This is my slogan. I have been doing it all over the country. Man cannot afford to rebuild because of climatic conditions anymore. Save the earth.